Continuing with the theme of innovations, it's brought us to the last presentation of the day, EasyV Pi standalone payment terminals. Now, it's a unique addition to our product suite. Historically or traditionally, we have targeted products that were focused for integrated market, but this is a product that we are releasing, I can say, probably driven by the WorldPay acquisition. It's a product targeted towards a standalone payment or standalone merchants. Now, if you look at the standalone market, the tier 3, tier 4, there are hundreds and thousands of devices out there. There are banks providing standalone devices to this market. So there's definitely a business sense to target that market, and based on that, we have developed this product called the EasyV Standalone Pi or EasyV Pi, which I'll be discussing in detail. Right, so the agenda for the presentation, I'll start with what the current standalone payment terminals are out there in the market, what the deficits or the disadvantage of those terminals are, and how we then aim to target those deficiencies in the market through this product. So what the core proposition of this product would be, and then discuss some of the advantages for both our partners and the merchants who would be looking to use this product. Just to give you a brief, this is actually, it's a product that is an extension to what Alex presented in terms of EasyV, just that it would be using a slightly different architecture, which I'll be covering in a bit. So issues with current standalone payment terminals, I know there's a very healthy mix of retailers and partners here. How many of you are using standalone terminals, the retailers, standalone terminals at the moment? Right. Just one, okay. So I guess most of you have advanced to integrated payments or integrated payment terminals. The standalone payment terminals, I think you'll mostly find in the tier 3, tier 4 merchant segment, or the merchants who do not have any POS still, so they are forced on the standalone terminal route. The disadvantage that we see with the current standalone terminals in the market that are provided by banks today, the biggest disadvantage is that it does what it says in the box, which is it allows you to take a sale and refund payment, but that's pretty much what it does. It doesn't give you value-added services like DCC, gift card, pennies. For pay at the table functionality, it doesn't give you things like split bill or gratuity. It doesn't support tokenization. So all these functionalities that are part of an integrated payment solution, you're not able to exercise that or benefit from that with a standalone payment terminal that you get from the bank. Apart from that, there are other disadvantages like you don't get proper reporting. You get the basic reporting from the bank where you know what was the final amount taken in store and what was the amount that was settled in your bank, but you don't get a comprehensive individual transaction level reporting. Also, I'm not aware of any standalone terminal in the market today which uses one of the common operating systems like Linux or Windows. They all use proprietary operating systems from Verifone, Ingenico, whoever the manufacturer is, which means any upgrade of solution or configuration changes on the standalone terminals have to then be driven by the manufacturer through one of the terminal management systems that the manufacturer provides. So operationally inefficient and also costly. So these are some of the disadvantages that the current standalone payment terminal solution has in the market. Now, the proposition that we are putting forward in terms of our standalone payment terminal is the EasyV Pi. Now, this, as I said, it is an extension to what Alex presented. So it's an EasyV solution, but with a slight change. Instead of integrating this with any POS or tablet solution, what we are proposing is a Raspberry Pi. So for those who are not familiar with Raspberry Pi, it's a Linux chip, which what we have done is we have created a very fancy looking box around it, installed the EasyV solution on it, and then connecting it to an IP-based chip and pin device. So that's the EasyV Pi proposition, which has got our solution on the Raspberry Pi connecting to a chip and pin device via IP. So it could be a Wi-Fi connection, it could be a LAN connection, and functioning as a standalone device. So it will have all the features of standalone device. So you can key in the amount on the terminal, you can insert the card, take the payments, you can process sale payments, you can process refund payments, but then you get all the functionalities that Alex covered as a part of YESV. So you have all the functionalities such as tokenization, DCC, gift cards. It also provides you a roadmap of then for the merchant to upgrade from a standalone solution to a point of sale solution where they can integrate the point of sale with the YESV, or they can integrate a tablet-based POS with the YESV using the Raspberry Pi. One of the things that we have focused on, or that we put a lot of effort into, was to operationally standardize the solution or make it operationally efficient. So what we had done as I said, it's a Linux chip with a box around it. Well, we're actually going through the industrial design for that box at the moment. A Linux chip, box around it, YESV installed on it. The YESV can be configured off-site, so it can be configured at either at our end or at the partner's end. You have the chip and pin unit, firmware loaded onto it, put everything into a box, ship it to the merchant. At the merchant's end, it's a very simple solution to set up where they open the box, plug the YESV into the LAN, plug the device, the chip and pin unit into the LAN. We give them an IP address on the YESV. They open the IP address, key in their merchant ID, key in their terminal ID. That's it, ready to go. It's as simple as configuring a Wi-Fi router at home. So it's a very simple solution to set up. So keeping in mind the target segment, tier 3, tier 4 merchants, they don't have sophisticated IT departments, so we want to keep it as simple as possible, but it encompasses all the integrated payments functionalities that we have mentioned there, like DCC, pennies, gift cards. More importantly, it's an IP-based solution, so it will be much faster than your standard or traditional standalone payment solution. There are a lot of PED choices as well with this solution. So now again, traditionally, standalone payment solutions, they all come with an integrated receipt printer. With this solution, you can actually afford to not have an integrated receipt printer with the PED. So you can actually look to use some of those traditional devices like the Verifone VX820 or the Inchenico IPP350 connected to a separate LAN-based printer, an intelligent printer. So I'll be covering some of the intelligent printers that can also be connected with this device. This is a typical configuration, standalone configuration setup that would go into the store. So you have various options in terms of how you want to connect the PEDs. So as I mentioned, there are a number of PEDs that are available to be used with this device or with this solution. So you can have one YESV box in your store, and you can connect a retail device, so the VX820 or the IPP350, and you can connect a network printer onto the solution. Or you can have multiple devices, so you can have one YESV which can support 2, 3, or 4 chip and pin units, and these chip and pin units could all be integrated receipt printer chip and pin units. So that's one of the configurations, or some of the configurations that you can have in the standalone environment for merchants who do not have a POS solution. For merchants who do have a POS solution or who do plan to upgrade to a POS solution in future, that can be the architecture where you'll have a fixed POS till or a tablet which will connect via the YESV Pi to a chip and pin unit. So it can connect to one unit, or it can connect to multiple units. So that's another advantage which I believe Alex would have covered in his presentation, where you can have 3 or 4 point of sale devices, tablets, all connecting to one chip and pin unit via the Raspberry Pi, or you can actually have one tablet connecting to 3 or 4 devices, again via the same Raspberry Pi. So there are a lot of options that can be explored with this solution. Although the later, I can't see any use for the later where you would be connecting one tablet devices, multiple PEDs, but definitely multiple tablets connecting to one PED might be of interest to many retailers. So this is a typical architecture of how you'd be connecting a tablet with the Raspberry Pi, again, I said it's similar to the EasyV that Alex would have discussed, where it's a web interface between the tablet and the EasyV solution, which sits on the Raspberry Pi, and then the Raspberry Pi communicates with the IP-based PED. These are the options that EasyV has got, or rather the PED options that the merchant would have in order to, the one that they can use with the EasyV. We have given the PEDs, they are actually in the descending order of their price, starting with the Verifone VX680, which is the costliest, and then it goes down to 820 Duet, and then IPP350, and then Bluetooth PEDs. Now, this is a USP of the solution, which is it allows you to use a number of PEDs, and each PED has its own advantages, disadvantages, price points, and depending on what your requirement, what the merchant's requirements are, they can actually select any one of these PEDs and use them in their environment. These are some of the printers, some intelligent receipt printers, driverless, so you can just plug them onto the network and connect them to an EasyV. So if in case you're using a chip and pin unit that doesn't have an integrated receipt printer, then you can always use one of these printers for printing purpose. So just a summary of what I discussed on EasyV. Raspberry Pi. So this is summarizing all the benefits of EasyV Raspberry Pi in an integrated environment. So if a merchant who's already got a POS solution and for some reasons they do not want to go down the traditional route of installing EasyV terminal on the POS, then this is one of the options where they can have a web interface with EasyV sitting on a Raspberry Pi connected to an IP-based terminal. All the functionalities that we have as a part of our standard solution and we have as a part of our EasyV solution would be available with this as well. Things like point-to-point encryption is also supported via the solution. It supports all the transaction types, sale, refund, purchase, cashback, and the others that are listed there. One of the advantages, which I was covering earlier, is that we have a queuing functionality in the form of EasyV Hospitality, where you can have multiple POS solutions or tablets initiate concurrent transactions, and they all get queued up, and you can extract all the transaction on one PED, which is the Verifone VX680. You can select which transaction you want to process at what time. So this way you can actually link a number of tablet devices onto one PED, allowing you to have many-to-one relationship. And this is a summary for EasyV standalone solution, where there is no PED, there's no POS or tablet within the merchant environment. So there's just the EasyV plugged onto the network. You have an IP device plugged onto the network, key in the amount on the device, insert your card, take the payment. Functionality of the standalone solution, but then there are additional advantages, the value-added benefits that you get, which would be all the transaction types and gift cards, TCC, etc., which I mentioned earlier. So this is a snapshot of the reporting portal that we have. This is also an advantage over the traditional standalone solution, where we provide a very comprehensive reporting portal where you can track down individual transactions in real time, and you can also download a couple of other reports which a merchant generally doesn't have access to through a standalone terminal. Summarizing the partner benefits, these are a couple of benefits that the partner has, but I think the biggest one would be that it provides a new way of integrating to our solution, a web interface, very useful for partners who have got cloud-based POS solution, makes it easy to integrate with our solution, and the other advantage is that it allows the partner to install a number of tablet devices all linking into one PED, which is actually quite a cost-efficient way of having enabling chip and pin solution in store. There are a couple of other benefits as well which are listed there, but I think the bigger benefit is for the retailers who are using standalone solution today, who don't have a POS till, who don't have tablets in store, and they want to enjoy the benefits of an integrated solution, but they are still because the traditional standalone solutions today don't support all these functionalities. They're actually limited in a way. So the main benefit for the retailers, their IP. This is an easier way to move to an IP solution, much faster. You can have value-added services like TCC, tax-free pennies, especially in the pay-at-the-table solution. You can have things like split bills and gratuity, which traditional payment terminals don't support. Comprehensive reporting, which makes reconciliation easier, and choice of PED. So you're not limited to a bulky-looking integrated receipt printer PED. You can actually opt for sleeker PED models like the IPP350s or VX820s, and instead use a wireless or receipt printer or a network receipt printer for printing receipts. So that's a summary of benefits for the retailer, and I think that's what we got for on IE.